The bridge of the Sovereign's blade fell into chaos. Officers shouted over each other. Alarms blared. The sensor display showed more human ships appearing every second, until there were too many to count. Commander Zorath gripped the railing in front of him and stared at the screen. His mind refused to accept what he was seeing. Where had they come from? How had they hidden from Velthury's sensors? 347 contacts, the sensor officer reported, her voice shaking. No, wait. 362. They are still appearing, Commander. That is impossible, Lyris said. Our sensors showed nothing. Empty space. They were cloaked, Zorath said slowly. They must have been cloaked. But even as he said it, he knew it made no sense. Cloaking technology that did not exist. The Velthury had the best sensors in the known galaxy. Nothing could hide from them. Nothing should have been able to hide from them. On the view screen, Captain Amy Walsh watched him with that same calm expression. Behind her, Zorath could see her bridge crew working quietly at their stations. No panic, no urgency. They moved like people who had done this many times before. Commander Zorath, Walsh said, I am going to explain your situation. Please, listen carefully. You dare. You have entered human space with hostile intent. That is clear from your weapons fire. Under human law, we now have the right to defend ourselves with all necessary force. She paused. Do you understand what that means? It means you will try to fight us, Zorath snarled. And you will fail. The Velthury do not lose. Walsh sighed. It was a tired sound. The Draven said the same thing. So did the Keth Dominion. And the Soral Collective. And the Vorn Empire. She leaned forward slightly. Do you know what all those species have in common? Zorath said nothing. They all thought they were the greatest military power in the galaxy. They all thought humans were weak. Walsh's eyes hardened. They were all wrong. Fire! Zorath shouted. All ships fire everything. The Velthury fleet unleashed their full arsenal. Plasma bolts, missile swarms, and energy beams filled the space between them and the human ships. It was enough firepower to destroy a planet. The human ships moved. They did not move like any vessels Zorath had ever seen. They did not fly in formations or follow predictable patterns. They moved like a swarm of insects, like water flowing around rocks, like something alive. Every shot missed. Every missile found empty space dot, and then the humans fired back dot. It was precise. Surgical. A single shot would hit a Velthury ship, and that ship would go dark. Not exploding, not destroyed, just stopped, dead in space. They are targeting our power cores, Lyris reported, disabling them without causing breaches. Commander, they are not trying to kill us. What? They are disabling our ships, taking us alive. Zorath watched as another of his vessels went dark. Then another. Then 3 more at once. The humans were dismantling his fleet like it was nothing. Like they were children playing with toys. Why? He demanded. Why would they not destroy us? A new voice came through the communication system. It was deeper than Walsh's, older, carrying the weight of authority. Commander Zorath, this is Admiral Daniel Carter of the Human Defense Force. I am taking command of this engagement. The view screen split to show a second human. This one was male, older, with gray hair cut short and deep lines around his eyes. He wore a simple uniform with few decorations. His expression was not angry or triumphant. It was sad. Admiral, Zorath spat the word. You think disabling my ships will save you? The Velthury Empire will send 1,000 ships to avenge us. No, Carter said quietly. They will not. You do not know the Velthury. We do not forgive. We do not forget. I know exactly what the Velthury are. Carter's voice was patient, like a teacher speaking to a slow student. You are conquerors. You believe strength is everything. You think mercy is weakness. He paused. You are wrong about all of it. Another Veltari ship went dark. Only 4 remained operational now. Humans learned something long ago, Carter continued. We learned it the hard way, through centuries of war and suffering. We killed each other by the millions before we reached the stars. We built weapons that could end all life on our world. We came within minutes of destroying ourselves more than once. Zorath did not understand. Then you are even weaker than I thought. You could not even control your own species. No, we could not. Carter nodded slowly. And that is exactly why we are stronger than you will ever be. That makes no sense. It makes perfect sense. We know what war really costs. We know what happens when you fight without limits, without mercy, without rules. We have seen the end result of pure military thinking. Carter's eyes met Zorath's through the screen. We nearly destroyed everything we loved, everything that made us human. And we decided never to go down that path again. The last operational Veltari ship besides the Sovereign's Blade went dark. You are alone now, Commander, Carter said. Your fleet is disabled. Your crew is alive. Your ships can be repaired. This is not the way you expected this to end, is it? Zorath felt something he had never felt before in battle. Fear. Real fear. Not of death, but of something worse. Of being completely outmatched. Of realizing that everything he believed was wrong. Why? He asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Why not just destroy us? It would be easier. Faster. It would send a clear message to the Empire. Carter was silent for a long moment. Because we are not you, he finally said. We do not measure strength by how many we can kill. We measure it by how many we can save. Even our enemies. Lyris stepped forward. Admiral Carter, I do not understand. We came to conquer you. We fired first. We intended to enslave your people or destroy them. And you show us mercy? Yes. Why? Carter smiled. It was a small, tired smile. Because someone has to break the cycle, Sub-Commander. Someone has to be the first to put down the sword. Humans decided long ago that we would be that someone. A human shuttle was approaching the Sovereign's Blade. Zorath knew he should order his remaining crew to fight, to resist, to die with honor. But something had changed inside him. The certainty that had guided his whole life was crumbling. What happens now? He asked. Now you come with us, Carter said. And we show you something that might change your mind about a great many things. And if it does not, then you will return to your empire with a message. Either way, you will leave human space alive. Carter's expression grew serious. But I hope, for your sake and for your people's sake, that you choose to listen this time. The shuttle docked with the Sovereign's Blade. Zorath could hear the outer airlock cycling. Commander, Lyris said softly. What do we do? Zorath looked at the view screen one last time. Captain Walsh was still there, still watching with those patient eyes. Admiral Carter waited for his answer. For the first time in his life, Commander Zorath Vel did not know what to do. We go with them, he said finally. We see what they want to show us. He did not know it yet, but his entire understanding of the universe was about to change. Commander Zorath Vel stood at the viewing window of his flagship, the Sovereign's Blade, and watched the stars pass by. Behind him, 11 more warships followed in perfect formation. The pride of the Veltari Empire sailed into unknown space, and Zorath felt nothing but confidence. The Veltari had conquered 17 star systems in the past 10 years. They had crushed the Morath Federation. They had brought the Silken Worlds to their knees. Every species they encountered either surrendered or died. This was the natural order of things. The strong ruled. The weak served, and humans, by all reports, were weak. Commander, said Sub-Commander Lyris Khan, stepping up beside him. She was tall for a Veltari female, with the pale blue skin and silver eyes of their kind. We are now fully inside human territory. No response from their border stations. Because they have no real border stations, Zora said with a thin smile. They are a young species. Barely 500 years in space. What could they possibly do against us? Lyris hesitated. Sir, I must remind you of the reports. What reports? The disappearances. She pulled up a data screen. In the past 300 years, 43 ships from various empires have entered human space. None returned. No distress signals. No debris fields. Nothing. Zorath waved his hand dismissively. Incompetent captains. Poorly maintained ships. Perhaps they simply got lost in the void. The humans are not a threat, Lyris. Look at them. He pointed to the display showing intercepted human broadcasts. Strange sounds filled the bridge. Music, they called it. Voices raised in harmony. Laughter. Emotional conversations about trivial things like love and family and dreams. They are soft, Zorath said. They care about feelings. About art. About each other. These are not the traits of warriors. The Draven thought the same thing, Lyris said quietly. They sent a full invasion fleet into human space 80 years ago. 200 ships. And? None came back. Zorath turned to face her. His yellow eyes narrowed. Are you afraid, Sub-Commander? I am cautious, Commander. There's a difference. There is no difference when caution becomes cowardice. He looked back at the stars. The Velthari do not fear anyone. We are the greatest military power in this sector. The humans will bow before us, like everyone else. The bridge crew worked in silence. The ships pushed deeper into human territory. Hours passed. Then a full day. They encountered no resistance. No patrols. No defense platforms. It was as if the humans did not care that an invasion fleet had entered their space. Strange, Lyris murmured. Where are their defenses? They have none worth mentioning, Zorath replied. But even he felt a small seed of doubt. Every other empire they had invaded had thrown everything at them the moment they crossed the border. The humans did nothing. On the second day, they passed through a region of empty space. Sensors showed nothing. No planets. No stations. No ships. Just darkness. Commander, the sensor officer called out. I am picking up something unusual. What is it? Residual energy signatures. Very faint. They are scattered across this entire region. Lyris moved to the sensor station. What kind of energy? Unknown. But the pattern suggests weapons fire. A battle took place here. When? Difficult to say. Perhaps 50 years ago. Perhaps more. Zorath came to look. The display showed a vast area of space, filled with tiny traces of energy. If a battle had happened here, it had been enormous. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. Whose ships? He asked. I cannot determine that, Commander. But I can tell you one thing. The sensor officer looked up, her face pale. There is no debris. Whatever fought here, one side took everything. Every piece of wreckage. Every body. Everything. Lyris and Zorath exchanged a look. In their experience, victors left debris fields behind. They did not clean up after themselves. It was inefficient. Pointless. Unless they did not want anyone to know what had happened. Continue forward, Zorath ordered. His voice was firm, but something cold had settled in his stomach. We did not come this far to turn back because of old energy signatures. On the third day, they detected a ship dot. It was small. Tiny, compared to the massive Velthari dreadnoughts. A single vessel, sitting alone in the darkness of space. One ship, Zorath said, almost laughing. They send one ship to face 12? It is hailing us, Commander. Put it through. The view screen flickered. A human female appeared. She had brown skin and dark hair pulled back from her face. Her uniform was simple, without decoration. She sat in a command chair, looking at the camera with an expression that Zorath could not quite read. Boredom? No. Patience. Like someone waiting for something inevitable. "Valkyrie Fleet," she said. Her voice was calm. "This is Captain Amy Walsh of the patrol ship Resolute. You have entered human space without authorization. Turn back now. This is your only warning." Zorath laughed. "One ship gives us orders? Human, you are either very brave or very stupid." "I am neither," Walsh replied. "I am simply giving you a chance." "A chance?" Zorath spread his arms wide. "Look at your ship, human. Look at mine. You are nothing. Your species is nothing. The Valkyrie Empire has crushed civilizations far greater than yours. You will surrender now, or you will be destroyed." Walsh did not react. Her expression did not change. "Did you receive the warning?" She asked. "What warning?" "When you entered our space? There was a broadcast. An automated message. Turn back. This is your only warning." She tilted her head slightly. "Did you receive it?" "We received it. We ignored it." Walsh nodded slowly. Something shifted in her eyes. Not fear, not anger. Something else. "They never listen," she said softly. It sounded like she was talking to herself. 300 years, and they never listen. Enough talk. Zorath turned to his weapons officer. "Destroy that ship." The Sovereign's blade opened fire. Plasma bolts streaked across space toward the tiny human vessel. They hit nothing. The Resolute moved. It did not dodge. It did not evade. It simply was not there anymore. One moment it was in front of them. The next it was somewhere else entirely. "What?" Zorath started. The human ship fired once. A single shot. It hit the Valkyrie ship Conquest of Stars, and the massive warship went dark. Not destroyed. Disabled. Every system dead in an instant. "Track that ship!" Zorath shouted. "All vessels, open fire!" 11 warships fired everything they had. The space around the Resolute lit up with weapons fire. The human ship danced through it, like it was nothing. Walsh's face appeared on the screen again. This time, she was not smiling. "Activating network," she said. "Tagging hostiles." Zorath looked at his sensor display. His blood went cold. Signatures were appearing across the screen. Dozens. Then hundreds. Ships emerging from nowhere, from empty space, from places his sensors had shown as completely empty. They had been there the whole time, waiting, watching. "Commander," Lyris whispered. "What do we do?" Zorath had no answer. On the view screen, Captain Amy Walsh looked at him with those patient, tired eyes. "You should have listened," she said. The human shuttle carried Commander Zorath and Sub-Commander Lyris through the battlefield. Through the windows, they could see the full extent of their defeat. 11 Valkyrie warships drifted in silence, their lights dark, their weapons cold. Around them, human vessels moved in careful patterns. Shuttles flew between the disabled ships, docking with them, bringing crews aboard. "They are taking everyone," Lyris observed. "All our crew." The human soldier escorting them nodded. His name was Sergeant Cole Bennett, a young man with a calm face and steady hands. "Medical teams first. Anyone injured gets treatment. Then we secure the ships and transfer crew to our carriers." "You treat our wounded?" Zorath asked. "Of course, but we are your enemies." Bennett looked at him with an expression Zorath could not read. "You are prisoners now. That is different." The shuttle approached a massive human vessel. It was unlike any warship Zorath had seen. Huge, yes, but built differently. There were sections that looked like hospitals, others that looked like living quarters. It was as much a city as a ship. The Endurance, Bennett said. Admiral Carter's flagship. Also serves as our mobile command center and reception facility. Reception facility? For guests like you. They docked and were led through corridors filled with human crew members. No one stared at them with hatred. No one spat at them or threatened them. The humans simply moved past, going about their duties, treating the Velthari prisoners like they were expected guests rather than captured enemies. It was deeply unsettling. Admiral Carter met them in a large room with windows overlooking the battlefield. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the recovery operations. Commander Zorath, Sub-Commander Lyris. He nodded to each of them. Thank you for coming peacefully. We did not have much choice, Zorath said bitterly. There is always a choice. You could have fought to the death. Many species have. Carter turned to face them. But you chose to live. That tells me something about you. What does it tell you? That you might be willing to learn. Carter gestured for them to sit. The chairs were designed for Velthari bodies, comfortable and properly sized. The humans had prepared for them. I want to show you something, Carter said. He activated a display screen on the wall. This is a recording from 112 years ago, before we met other species, before we left our home system. The screen showed a planet, blue and green and white. Beautiful. Earth, Carter said. Our homeworld. The image changed. Cities burning. Mushroom clouds rising. Millions of people running, screaming, dying. This was the Third World War, Carter continued. His voice was quiet. We had nuclear weapons. Weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. And we used them against each other. Lyris leaned forward, studying the images. You destroyed your own people? Yes. Billions died. Not from the weapons themselves, but from what came after. Radiation, famine, disease. We nearly ended our own species. Zorath watched the destruction unfold on the screen. He had seen conquered worlds. He had seen the aftermath of Velthari military campaigns. But this was different. This was a species turning its full military might against itself. Why? He asked. Why would you do this? Because we were like you, Carter said simply. We believed that strength meant domination. We divided ourselves into nations, into groups, each one trying to be more powerful than the others. We spent centuries perfecting the art of killing each other. The images changed again. Reconstruction efforts. People working together to rebuild. The slow, painful recovery of a wounded world. It took us 3 generations to recover. 3 generations of suffering and hard work. But we learned something in that time. Carter looked directly at Zorath. We learned that true strength is not measured by how much you can destroy. It is measured by how much you can build, how much you can protect, how much you can heal. That is a philosophy for the weak, Zorath said, but his voice lacked conviction. Is it? Carter pulled up another display. Ship specifications. Battle records. Our military technology is approximately 300 years ahead of yours. We could have destroyed your entire fleet in less than a minute. We chose not to. Why? Because killing you would have been easy. Saving you is harder. More valuable. Carter shut off the display. When we finally reached the stars, we found a galaxy full of species just like we used to be. Conquerors. Empires built on blood and fear. They all thought they were strong, and you defeated them all. We stopped them. There's a difference. Carter walked to the window. The Draven were the first to invade us. 200 ships. We destroyed them completely. Every single vessel. We thought that would send a message, make others leave us alone. It did not? No. It made them more aggressive. They saw our response as a challenge. So the next time, with the Keth Dominion, we tried something different. We disabled their fleet and sent them home with a warning. Did that work? Better, but not well enough. They came back a few years later with a bigger fleet. Carter turned back to face them. So we changed our approach again. We started bringing captured crews here, showing them who we really are, giving them a choice. What choice? The choice to understand, to see that there's another way to exist in this galaxy. Not as conquerors, but as partners. A door opened, and several beings entered the room. They were not human. Zoreth recognized some of them. A Draven with its insect-like body and compound eyes. A member of the Keth Dominion, tall and thin with mottled gray skin. A Saral, round and heavy with multiple arms. All species that had invaded human space. All species that should have been enemies. These are representatives from species that once tried to conquer us, Carter said. They chose to stay, to learn, to change. The Draven stepped forward. Its voice was clicking and strange, but Zoreth understood it. I commanded the second Draven invasion fleet. 40 ships. The humans defeated us in 6 minutes. They could have killed us all. Instead, they showed us mercy. They showed us another way. And you just accepted it? Zoreth asked. You abandoned your people? Your empire? I went back, the Draven said. I told my leaders what I had seen. Some listened, others did not. The ones who listened are now part of the Human Alliance. The ones who did not, the Draven's compound eyes dimmed. They are gone now. They kept attacking until the humans had no choice. Lyris spoke up. What happened to them? The room fell silent. Carter's expression grew heavy. We do not speak of the Hurricane, he said quietly. They refused every offer of peace. They attacked human colonies, killed civilians, children. His voice hardened. We gave them 17 chances. They took none of them. And now there is no Hurricane Empire. No Hurricane Homeworld. No Hurricane anything. Carter met Zoreth's eyes. We are capable of mercy, Commander. But we are also capable of ending threats permanently when mercy fails. Do you understand? Zoreth understood. For the first time, he truly understood. The humans were not weak. They were not soft. They were simply patient. They gave their enemies every chance to choose peace. But when those chances ran out, when there was no other option, they were capable of destruction on a scale the Velthari could not imagine. What do you want from us? Zoreth asked. I want you to see more, Carter said. I want you to meet the people who made the same choice you are facing now. And then I want you to decide what kind of future you want for your people. He gestured toward the door. Come, there is much more to show you. The shuttle took them to a massive space station that hung in orbit around a small blue moon. Zoreth watched through the window as they approached. The station was enormous, larger than any military installation he had ever seen. Ships of dozens of different designs came and went from its many docking ports. Some were human. Most were not. Welcome to Haven Point, said Dr. Lisa Morgan, the human historian assigned to guide them. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but Zoreth had learned not to underestimate humans based on their appearance. This is where we bring everyone who enters human space with hostile intentions. A prison? Lyris asked. No, a school of sorts. Dr. Morgan smiled. Although I suppose the distinction might seem small to you right now. They docked and stepped out into a wide corridor filled with beings from dozens of species. Zoreth recognized some of them from intelligence reports. Others were completely unknown to him. They moved freely, without guards, without chains. Some wore human clothing. Others wore the traditional garments of their own cultures. Many were talking, laughing, sharing meals at small tables along the corridor walls. It looked like a marketplace. A community, not a prison at all. This makes no sense, Zorth said. These species were your enemies. You defeated them in battle. Why are they walking free? Because they are not our enemies anymore, Dr. Morgan said. Most of them chose to stay after we showed them what you are about to see. Some have been here for decades. They have families now, careers, lives. A tall being with scales and 4 arms approached them. It wore a human-style jacket over its traditional robes. New arrivals? It asked Dr. Morgan. Yes, Valtteri, Commander Zorth and Sub-Commander Lyris. The scaled being made a gesture that might have been a smile. Ah, the proud ones. I remember being proud once. It looked at Zorth. I am Korath, formerly High Admiral of the Siral Collective. I led the largest fleet ever assembled against human space. 1,500 ships. I have heard of that battle, Lyris said. The records say no one survived. The records are wrong. Everyone survived. Korath gestured at the busy corridor. Most of them are here, on this station, living peaceful lives. I have a human wife now. 2 children, 1 adopted. We run a restaurant on the 3rd level. Of all beautiful, best food on the station, if I say so myself. Zorth stared at him. You were a High Admiral. You commanded the largest fleet in your empire's history. And now you cook food? I do. And I have never been happier. Korath's eyes grew serious. Do you know why I stayed, Commander? Because the humans showed me something I had never understood before. They showed me that there is more to life than conquest. More to strength than victory in battle. What could possibly be more important than victory? Peace, family, purpose. Korath placed one of his 4 hands on Zorth's shoulder. You think you know what strength is. You think it means having the power to destroy your enemies. But the humans have more power than any species in this galaxy, and they use it to protect, not to conquer. That is true strength. He walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Dr. Morgan led them deeper into the station. They passed through areas designed for different species. Climate-controlled zones. Different atmospheric compositions. The humans have built this place to accommodate everyone. How many species are represented here? Lyris asked. 47, Dr. Morgan replied. Not counting humans. 47 species tried to invade you? 47 species made it far enough into our space to engage our defense forces. Many more turned back after receiving our warnings. She paused at a large window overlooking an indoor garden. Do you see that area down there? The one with the red trees? Zorth looked. A group of children played among the strange plants. Some were human. Some were clearly alien. They chased each other, laughing, playing some kind of game together. Those are the children of former enemies, Dr. Morgan said. Human children playing with Draven children. Keth children. Siral children. Their parents tried to kill each other. Now their children grow up together as friends. This is impossible, Zorth said. Different species cannot simply forget their hatred, their conflicts. They can if someone shows them how. Dr. Morgan turned to face him. Commander, do you know what humans value most? Power? Territory? Resources? No. Connection. We are social creatures. We form bonds with each other and with other species. We value relationships above almost everything else. She gestured at the garden below. That is what you see down there. Not former enemies pretending to get along. Real connections. Real friendships. Real families. A man approached them. He was older, with scars on his face and hands that spoke of violence. He wore simple civilian clothes, but he moved like a soldier. Dr. Morgan, he said. I heard we had Veltri guests. Thought I might help. Commander Zorath, Sub-Commander Lyris, this is Chris Palmer. He was a soldier in humanity's last internal war before we reached the stars. Palmer nodded to them. Fought in the South American campaign. Worst 3 years of my life. He looked out the window at the playing children. I killed people. Lots of people. I thought I was doing the right thing. Fighting for my country, my people. And were you? Zorath asked. I thought so at the time. Now? Palmer shook his head. Now I know that every person I killed had a family. Children who would grow up without parents. Parents who would bury their children. I added to the suffering of the world instead of reducing it. You were a warrior. You did your duty. I was a killer. There is a difference. Palmer's eyes were hard. When the war ended, I had nothing. No purpose. No meaning. The things I had done haunted me every night. I thought my life was over. What changed? The human government gave us a choice. We could stay trapped in our hatred, or we could build something new. They put us to work. Not as soldiers, but as builders. We rebuilt the cities we had destroyed. We helped the families of people we had killed. His voice grew quiet. It took decades, but eventually I found peace. Real peace. Not the peace that comes from defeating your enemies, but the peace that comes from healing the wounds you have caused. Lyris spoke up. And you think the Veltri can do the same? Our entire culture is built on conquest. So was ours, Palmer said. Humans spent thousands of years building empires through violence. We thought it was the only way. We were wrong. He met her eyes. Every species that has come through this station thought they were unique, special, that their way of life could not change. But it can, if you want it to. Dr. Morgan led them away toward a quieter section of the station. They entered a room filled with displays and records. The history of every species that had invaded human space and then chosen peace. This is what we want to show you, Dr. Morgan said. Not our military power. Not our technology. We want to show you that change is possible. That there is another way to exist. Zorath looked at the records. Thousands of stories. Thousands of beings who had been exactly like him and then chosen a different path. And if we refuse? He asked. If we return to our empire and tell them to send more ships? Dr. Morgan's expression grew sad. Then you will be making the same choice as the Hurricane. And I hope for everyone's sake that you do not. What happened to them? Really? They kept attacking. For 50 years, they attacked us. They refused every offer of peace. They killed our children, burned our colonies, laughed at our mercy. Dr. Morgan closed her eyes. So we stopped showing mercy. We did what we had to do to protect our people. You destroyed them. We ended them. Every ship, every station, every world. She opened her eyes. It was the worst day in human history. The day we proved we were still capable of the violence we thought we had left behind. We do not speak of it because we are ashamed. Not proud. Ashamed. The room fell silent. Zorath thought about everything he had seen. Everything he had heard. His entire life, he had believed that power meant domination. That mercy was weakness. That the strong ruled and the weak served. But the humans were the strongest species in the galaxy. And they had chosen a different path. I need time, he said finally. Time to think? Dr. Morgan nodded. Take all the time you need. We have been patient for 300 years. We can be patient a little longer. 3 weeks passed at Haven Point. Zora spent most of that time walking through the station, talking to beings who had once been enemies of humanity. He heard their stories. He saw their families. He watched children of different species playing together. laughing together, growing up together. And slowly, something inside him began to change. Lyris found him one evening in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. "I spoke with our crew today," she said, sitting down beside him. 217 of them have asked for asylum. Zorath did not react. He had expected this. "They want to stay here," Lyris continued. "Start new lives. Some of them have already formed friendships with humans and other species. They say they have never felt more free." Free. Zorath repeated the word like it was foreign to him. In the Empire, freedom means having the power to take what you want from those weaker than you. And here it means something different. He finally looked at her. It means being free from the need to take. Free from the endless cycle of conquest and revenge. He paused. "I never realized how exhausting it was. The constant fighting. The constant proving of strength. The constant fear of showing weakness." Lyris nodded slowly. "I have been thinking the same thing. In the Empire, I always had to watch my back. Everyone was a potential rival, a potential enemy. Here, people just help each other, without expecting anything in return." They sat in silence for a while. "What are you going to do?" Lyris finally asked. "What I came here to do. Return to the Empire. Deliver the message." Zorath stood up. "But the message will be different than what Emperor Valok expects. He will be furious. Yes, he will probably have me executed. Then why go back?" Zorath looked at the stars again. Somewhere out there was the Volthari Empire. His home, his people. A civilization built on principles he now knew were wrong. "Because someone has to tell them the truth," he said. "Someone has to give them the same choice the humans gave me. Even if they refuse. Even if it costs me my life." 2 days later, Zorath stood in the shuttle bay with Admiral Carter. The Sovereign's blade had been repaired, its systems restored, its crew given the choice to stay or leave. Some had chosen to remain at Haven Point. Others had chosen to return with their commander. "You do not have to do this," Carter said. "You could stay here. Build a new life. I know, but I cannot abandon my people to the same fate as the Hurricane." Zorath looked at the human admiral. "You showed me mercy when I deserved destruction. The least I can do is give my people the chance to learn what I have learned." Carter nodded slowly. "I hoped you would say that." He handed Zorath a small device. "This contains everything. Our history, our philosophy, records of every species that chose peace over war. Give it to your emperor, and if he destroys it, then you will know what kind of leader he truly is. And you will have to decide what to do with that knowledge." They shook hands. It was a human gesture, but Zorath had learned to appreciate it. A simple act of connection, of respect. "One more thing," Carter said. "When you return, tell your emperor this. We do not want war. We have never wanted war. But if he forces our hand, if he sends more fleets against us, we will respond. Not with anger, but with the same measured force you experienced. And we will keep responding until he understands. And if he never understands..." Carter's eyes grew distant. "Then the Volthari will make the same choice as the Hurricane. And history will repeat itself." He focused on Zorath again. "I truly hope it does not come to that." Zorath boarded the Sovereign's blade with Lyris and the crew members who had chosen to return. As the ship lifted off and left Haven Point behind, he felt the weight of what he was about to do pressing down on him. The journey back to Volthari space took 4 days. 4 days to think about what he would say. 4 days to prepare for the reaction he knew was coming. When they arrived at the Imperial Throne World, they were immediately surrounded by warships. Zorath had expected this. He transmitted his identification codes and requested an audience. With Emperor Valok Tar, the audience was granted. The Imperial throne room was vast and cold, designed to intimidate. Emperor Valok sat on a raised platform, surrounded by advisors and guards. His yellow eyes burned with controlled fury as Zorath approached. "You return alone," Valok said. 12 ships entered human space. One comes back. Explain. Zorath knelt before the throne. "My Emperor, the fleet was defeated, but not destroyed. The humans disabled our ships and captured our crews. They could have killed us all. They chose not to? Chose not to?" Valok leaned forward. "You expect me to believe that these humans showed mercy to an invasion force? I do not expect you to believe it. I expect you to see it." Zorath held up the device Carter had given him. "This contains their message, their history, everything they wanted you to know." A guard took the device and brought it to the Emperor. Valok examined it with disgust. "Pretty words and propaganda, no doubt. Tell me, Commander, how many of your crew chose to stay with these humans?" Zorath hesitated. 217. The room went silent. 217 Velthari had abandoned their empire. It was unthinkable. "Traitors," Valok hissed. "Every one of them. And what about you, Commander? Why did you not stay with your precious humans?" "Because I believe my people deserve to hear the truth." Zorath stood up. "The humans are not our enemies, my Emperor. They do not want war. They want peace. Real peace, not the submission we call peace. Peace?" Valok laughed. It was a cruel sound. "The Velthari do not ask for peace. We take what we want. We have always taken what we want. And how has that worked for us?" Zorath asked. The question was dangerous, but he no longer cared. "We have conquered 17 systems. We have enslaved millions. And what do we have? 1,000 enemies. 1,000,000 rebellions waiting to happen. We spend more resources controlling our territory than we gained by conquering it. Be careful, Commander. The humans have something we do not. They have allies. Real allies, not subject species forced into service. Dozens of former enemies who now choose to stand beside them. Not because they have to, but because they want to." Zorath took a step forward. "They offered us the same thing. Partnership, cooperation, a place in their alliance. You ask me to beg for peace? To admit weakness? I ask you to show true strength. The strength to choose a different path." Zorath looked around the throne room. "Every species that has fought the humans has lost. Everyone. But the ones who accepted their offer, who chose peace over pride, they are thriving, growing, building something that will last." Lyris stepped forward. "My Emperor, I saw it with my own eyes. Children of different species playing together. Former warriors living in peace. It is possible. Change is possible." Valok's eyes narrowed. "And if I refuse? If I send 100 fleets against them? Then the Velthari Empire will share the fate of the Hurricane," Zorath said quietly. "They are gone, my Emperor. Not defeated. Not conquered. Gone. The humans erased them from existence because they refused every offer of peace." The room fell silent. Valok stared at Zorath for a long moment. Then he stood. "You come back from defeat and tell me to surrender. You tell me that the way of our ancestors is wrong. You suggest that peace is stronger than war." His voice was cold. "Guards, take them." Zorath did not resist as the guards seized him. He had known this might happen. He had accepted it. "You are traitors," Valok declared. "You will be executed at dawn. And I will send the largest fleet in our history to destroy these humans once and for all." As they dragged him away, Zorath looked back at the Emperor. "I hope you change your mind," he said. "For everyone's sake." But even as he said it, he knew it was probably too late. 3 years later, a Velthari diplomatic vessel entered human space. It was not the Sovereign's blade. It was not a warship at all. Just a small transport carrying a handful of passengers. Emperor Valok was dead. The massive fleet he had sent against the humans had been defeated, just like Zorith's. But this time, some of the crews had returned with stories. Stories of mercy. Stories of hope. Stories of a different way to live. The people had listened. They had overthrown their emperor. They had chosen new leaders. Leaders who remembered what Zorith had tried to tell them. Lyris stood at the transport's window as they approached Haven Point. She had spent 3 years in prison, but the revolution had freed her. Now she was part of the new government. Part of the change Zorith had died trying to create. A human vessel came to escort them in. A familiar voice came over the communication system. Valtteri vessel, this is Captain Amy Walsh of the Resolute. We have been expecting you. Lyris smiled. The same captain who had first confronted them all those years ago. Captain Walsh, she said. It is good to hear your voice. We come in peace. I know. Walsh's voice was warm, welcoming. You made the right choice. It took a while, but you made it. Zorith made it first. We just finally listened. As the transport docked with Haven Point, Lyris thought about everything that had happened. The invasion, the defeat, the 3 weeks at the station that had changed everything. Zorith's sacrifice, the revolution that followed Dot. It had taken years. It had cost lives. But in the end, the Valtteri had chosen a different path. And somewhere, Lyris was sure, Zorith was at peace.